Hello and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. To continue my series of reviewing all of the Brothers War cards for Standard, I am going to go through all of the green cards, which is the final non-multicolour, non-artifact, non-land, non-meld colour remaining. So without further ado, let's get started and go through the green cards, see what's good and see what is not so good. Starting with Alloy Animist. It's a 1/1 for 1. It has 3 until end of turn. Target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature. In green, it feels like a very blue or blue-red effect. I'm gonna say not amazing. Argolian Opportunist. When it enters the battlefield, create a tap Power Stone, 3/2. This reminds me a little bit of the Jewel Thief, I think it was called. The 3/3 that's a Vigilant Trample and creates a treasure. Obviously, it's not quite as good stat line, but its Power Stone can be reused. But no, not very good. This one, no. Audacity, a 1 costing aura, I guess, +2/+7, has trample. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. This could be good for like a creature that likes to be targeted, so the 1/1 double strike that connives when you target it, for example. Could be nice with that. Otherwise, probably quite limited uses. Awaken the Woods is X and 2 green. It's a sorcery, a mythic sorcery. Create X with 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. They're affected by summoning sickness. So let's say we cost 4. We get 2 lands that are 1/1 creatures. So they are destroyable lands basically. It's an interesting little ramp spell. If the opponent doesn't have a way to wipe your board and you cast this for like 4. It's going to give you all the mana you could ever need. Obviously, as all ramp spells, it's a little bit slow, and the dudes that come out of this are a little bit weak. But given that Meathook is banned, this actually looks quite good to me. We're seeing a lot of top end in this set, and I would say this is likely to be a good card in the set. Obviously, it only produces forests, so you can only get green mana out of your mana dorks that it creates. But looks alright. I don't know if there's any effects about number of lands as well. I could think of like the Ren and 7 token, things like that, where you can suddenly give them a huge boost by creating little land creatures. Or things like, yeah, there's a couple of other things that are based on number of lands. I am also wondering if they count as lands when they're in the graveyard still. I suspect they would. Oh no, because they're tokens, they don't go to the graveyard. Okay. Now, yeah, well, I think this could be alright. I think if you can get to the late game in this format, this will be quite nice. It won't be any good in Alchemy because it's too slow. Blanchwood Armor is a 3 costing enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each forest you control. This feels like a reprint to me. I feel like I've seen this effect before. It's decent in limited, but not so great in standard because it's a 3 costing aura. Blanchwood Prowler, mill 3, no, not for 1. Well, unless it's a reanimated deck, maybe, but not too interested in that. Not too interested in this one. Bushwhack is a 1 green sorcery. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, or a fight spell. Okay, that actually sounds really good. It's a fight spell or a search for a land if you don't need a fight spell, or if you're getting a bit screwed for mana. I would say this is brilliant. I think I'll be playing this in most of my green creature based decks. Yeah, I really like the sound of Bushwhack. What a nice little uncommon that is. This one is 1 green for an Elf Druid Soldier 1/1. Tap an untapped creature, add 1 mana of any colour. It's like a Jaspera Sentinel, sort of. Might see some play, but as a 1/1, yeah, I mean, a 1 cost mana dork always has its place, although you do need other stuff around for this one to work. So, like Jaspera Sentinel, will be of limited use. Epic Confrontation, a target creature you control gets +1/+2 and fights another creature you don't control. It's like a bad version of this card, just because it costs double. but nah, probably won't see any play. Fade from History is a 4-costing sorcery. Each player who controls an artifact or enchantment creates a 2/2 green bear creature token. Then destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So it's a sideboard card against enchantments or artifact decks. I guess the reason, I mean, obviously things that sweep the board tend to be rare, and this does sweep it of artifacts and enchantments. It seems pricey for a rare because it is a sideboard card against those decks. I don't think this is ever going to be main deckable. It's not like you can put it in a deck where you have loads of artifacts because you still only get 1 bear token. Yeah, it's a sideboard card. Philagi Excavation is 5-costing sorcery. Create 3 tapped Power Stone tokens. You gain 3 life. It's a bit expensive, but it's a late game ramp spell, which typically aren't very good anyway. Fauna Shaman 2. It's a 2/2 elf shaman. It has green and tapped. Discard a creature card. Search your library for a creature card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand, and then shuffle. That seems good. You can basically chuck away any of your smaller creatures. This kind of card is very good in one where you have to run creature mana dorks to ramp into big things, because you can just ditch the mana dorks later and find the big things. Obviously it's a 2/2, so it's easily removable, but it is only 2 mana to play, and it could just sit there in the meantime. It's also an elf, which is a relevant creature type in a lot of things, and it could be, particularly maybe in like certain decks, this could be a combo completer if you could search your library for any creature card. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be all sorts of situations where this is good. You can find a Shieldred if it's a grindy mid-range game, or your opponent's got lots of like a few medium-sized creatures. You could find a creature to gain you life. You could find a Titan. Yeah, I think this is going to be played a lot. A fog effect, but for 3, and you gain 1 life for each creature on the battlefield. Any fogs things with power 3 or less, I'd say no good. Gaia's Corsair is 5. Nope, too expensive. Gaia's Gift. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It gains reach, trample, hexproof, and indestructible. So it's like a protection spell, similar to the other one that we have already. It's too expensive. It might take some fringe use, but I think it's too expensive. Giant Growth is popular in the similar decks that the Audacity would be popular, in the sense that 3/3 is a lot of stats for 1 mana, so if you're playing a deck where a creature likes to be targeted, this will be good, otherwise it will be bad. I think there's definitely a where that double strike card and white-green deck to be made here. Poolbearer is too expensive. Gwena, Eyes of Gaia is 3-costing 2/3 a legendary elf druid scout. Tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colours. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card. Interesting phrasing. When you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, put a 1/1 counter on Gwena, Eyes of Gaia, and untap it. Interesting. I'm not sure why the 1/1 counter is too relevant, other than to stop your Gwena being removed. If you just got excuse me, cast a creature with power 5 or greater, I suspect that this is not the primary removal target. Untapping it is interesting though. So if you cast something for 5, then you get another 2 mana to spend that turn. So it basically costs you 3 to buy a 5-drop power creature once you have this down. Or you can attack with it after, and it'll be a 3/4. I think if you could find 5 power creatures that have haste or something, this could be quite a nice little combo, maybe, because you could put your 5, whatever it is, your 4/4 or 5/5 haster in, attack with that, and this is a 3/4 on turn 4, sorry. Yeah, it's got some potential. It's a little bit soft for a 3-drop, it's going to get removed a lot, but I think it's got some fun to be had there. We've seen this before, I think. That's no good. Obstinate Baloth is a 4-costing 4/4 beast. When it enters the battlefield, gain 4 life. Spell or ability an opponent controls because you discard it, put it onto the battlefield instead of putting it into your graveyard. This is interesting that they followed up the release of Liliana of the Veil with a sort of green counter to Liliana of the Veil, which is needed because Liliana is really good against mono green. It's pretty much what's killed off mono green. You don't see it really at all anywhere at the moment, and it's because discarding big creatures is a very nice way of killing them, and having something like this that you could put in your deck to counter it is nice. Is a 4/4 for 4 good enough? Otherwise, though, not really. You know, we saw 6/6 hexproofs with this effect before. Granted, you couldn't cast any non-creature spells, but that was the Nullhide Ferox, I believe. But this, it could be used in if there's a lot of discard going down. Maybe it could just be a sideboard card. Anyway, interesting to see it printed. This isn't great. Sarinth Steelseeker is a 2-costing 1/2 human artist scout. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. I mean, it's a nice little effect, but it is a 1/2 for 2. Might see some use. If there's lots of little artifacts you can pull in to do stuff with, this could see some use, but TBC. Shoot down is your classic green enchantment artifact and flying removal, but sideboard at best. No. Okay, Teething Wormlet. It's a 1 green. So green has been yearning for a 1-drop for ages. Let's see if this can do it. You don't see many worms for 1, so it's a 1/1 worm. It has Death Touch as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. So loads of artifacts in this set, but 3 or more is still a lot. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. That could be nice. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, put a 1/1 counter on it. Okay, that sounds quite nice. As long as you can guarantee you're playing an artifact on turn 2, this is going to be a 2/2, and it's going to grow in a similar way to like Pelt Collector and other sort of 1-costing things that have relatively easy conditions to grow and become quite nasty, and then it's going to gain Death Touch, which, meh. I mean, it's basically likely to be like a 3/3 or 4/4 by then anyway, but yeah, I'm saying this is good. This could solve the 1-drop green issue. Obviously, you're going to have to tweak your deck to include a lot of artifacts, but there's no reason that can't happen in this set. I give this a good score. Titania's Command is a 6-costing sorcery. Choose 2. Exile target player's graveyard, 1 life each card exiled this way. Search your library for 2 lands, put them on the battlefield, tap them in the shuffle, create 2 2/2 green bear creature tokens, or put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. Now, obviously, that last effect can be very powerful. But if you look at things like AO the Dawn Sky, how often do you choose that as a method? And that costs 5. I mean, this costs 6. I know it does 2 of these. So you could create 2 4/4s with it. Yeah, 2 bears and then put counters on them. I'm not sure when you're searching for lands when you've already got 6 to play this, unless you cheat this in somehow. It's too expensive. I'd say probably not great, but could be worth something. This one is an interesting common because it's 2-costing human soldier 3/1 with Ward 2. Ward 2 is a nice effect to have, especially if you're playing something like Fight Rigging. Having a 3-power creature that's a Ward 2 to put those counters on and start growing. This is half decent. I'd say it's half decent, especially since it's a soldier, which seems like a very relevant type. Not that there's much synergy with green, but yeah, I like this little card. I think you'll see it show up. Wasteful Harvest, no. Boulder Branch Golem is a 7-costing golem. You gain life equal to its power, or a 3/3 for 4. No, it's limited. Cradle Clear Cutter, and amount of green equal to Cradle Clear Cutter's power. So that could be 3 or it could be 1, 3. Meh. Haywire Mites, 1-costing 1/1. When it dies, gain 2 life. Sack it. Exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. Could be useful in places. I mean, it's a one-costing artifact, so with the Wormling, wherever that was, don't know, lost it now. Ah, there it is, Wormlet. Sorry, this could do something. And it, you know, this is quite a lot of targets in this set, although lots of them are creature artifacts. Potential. The Ironclaw Crusher is a 7 costing 4/6. When it attacks target attacking creature, it's +X/+O until end of turn, where X is its power. It doesn't say another target creature, so it's at least an 8/6 itself when it's attacking, or it could be a 4/5 for 4. And obviously, if you can buff its power, it could be more. It still seems a little bit underpowered. If it was a 3/5 for 4, maybe, but 2/5 feels a little bit weak to me. Mask of the Jade Crafter is a 2-costing artifact. It has X tap. Sacrifice it and create an XX colorless golem artifact creature token, only as a sorcery. And it has Unearth, so you can do it again, but for 3 less, basically. Unless there's a good use of big tokens, I'm not sure why you would do it this way. Doesn't feel like the most effective or efficient way to get a big creature to me, so I'm going to say no to this one. Perennial Behemoth is a 5/5 2/7, a 5 costing 2/7 beast artifact creature. You may play lands from your graveyard, unearth for green. So this is if you are running a mill deck and you don't have a land drop, you can unearth this, play a land. It's basically a seek a land from your graveyard, but then in your hand is a 5 costing thing. I don't know, I could be missing something here, but this doesn't seem great to me. Rootwire Amalgam, 5 costing golem. That's a 5/5. It has 5, sacrifice it and create an XX colors golem creature token, where X is 3 times the Rootwire Amalgam's power. It gains haste until end of turn. So just to get this right, if you play this for 5, you're going to create a 15 golem. So on turn 6 maybe. If you play this on turn 2, you create a 6/6 on turn 5. I mean, a 2/3 on turn 2 isn't that bad at all. So to have that nice little ability, you can then upgrade that creature later, is pretty good. I would say this one looks good to me. This one looks nice. The flexibility of it can be a 6/6 or a 5/5, or just the stats it comes in with aren't too bad either. And there are no doubt artifact synergies in this set. I'd say this one looks good. Don't know whether it's worth a mythic, but it looks good. Rust Goliath costs 10. It's 10/10 reach trample. Unless you can cheat this in, attack with it, and then fling it. I don't know why you're ever looking at this, even as a 3/5. What's the point? Simian Simulacrum is a... I'm going to confuse this with Solemn Simulacrum. Anyway, 3 costing 2/1. Ape, when it enters the battlefield, put 2/1 counters on target creature you control. So it could be a 4/3 for 3. Or you can buff something else. Unearth for 4. So you basically pay 4, you get 2 1/1s on something and a 2/1 with haste. I'd say this looks pretty nice. I liking all the unearthed stuff. Gives you some value for creature decks. If you get your creatures destroyed, there's going to be a lot of skill in knowing when and how many creatures to play when you're trying to beat someone down. Because you're going to have plenty of unearthed triggers, which are expensive. You don't get loads for it, but you do get value that you don't get from a normal creature card, and this one doesn't seem any worse than a normal creature otherwise, so I would say this is a good one. This is one of the better green cards we've seen. So that brings us to the end of the green cards. I would say this Simulacrum looks good to me. I would say I'm excited to play with the Wormlet. I think green has needed a 1-drop for a while, and this one looks interesting and fun, particularly when paired with maybe the Simulacrum and maybe the Amalgam, because those are both decent looking artifact creatures that can grow your Wormlet. Might need to mix another colour in or some plain artifacts, but yeah, I could see a sort of forming of a green aggressive deck there, green aggressive mid-rangey deck. Yeah, the Awaken the Woods is interesting, but I'm not sure how brilliant it's going to be. The other deck I can see out of this is the Audacity. On the, is it called the Illuminator or something? Audacity plus the Giant Growth type of deck. But in general, I don't think green looks overly strong. I think so far red and black have looked the strongest out of the three colours, maybe. But white looked also very good, but blue and green feel a little bit further behind. But until you play with it, you never really can tell. But yeah, it'd be interesting to play with. I mean, I always enjoy playing green, so I might start with some of these cards. It's a slightly easier way to get stuck into the set, isn't it, anyway? Playing stuff like the Simulacrum you can't go too far wrong with. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. That does wrap up the colours. The last one I'm going to do will include all the multicoloured Artifact Lands and Meld cards, or everything else is left. And then that will bring an end to the Brothers War card standard review cycle that I'm going through now. So thank you very much for bearing with me. One more to come. I appreciate you watching. See you next time.